Welcome to Hey, it's Carly Rae's Book Club. This is Book Hour, where authors will talk their latest novels, reveal their writing process, and play some fun book games. I'm your host, Carly Rae. Today we have author Kara Lee Corthron. We're going to be diving into what inspired her to write Daughters of Jubilation, find out how she imagined the magical abilities of Evvie, and if writing a novel differs from writing plays in a TV series. Plus, we're going to see if Kara knows who played Chandler's father on Friends. We'll jump in right after this. Hello, Kara. Tell us where you're joining us from.
Hey, I'm in Los Angeles, California.
Awesome. And we love your background.
Thank you very much.
Now, your new novel, Daughters of Jubilation, Shown Here, has made a huge splash on the book scene. It is Amazon's best book of the month for October, named Bustle's most anticipated book of October, and I couldn't put it down. Tell those viewers watching who haven't read Daughters of Jubilation about the storyline and why they need to add it to their to-be-read list.
Nice. Well, thank you for that intro.
Yeah.
So Daughters of Jubilation focuses on Eveline Deschamps, who is the 16-year-old Black girl, and she is the latest in a long line of magical Black women going back to the time of slavery and possibly beyond. So these women have kind of developed these skills over time, often to deal with the horrors of white supremacy, as we know there are many. But it usually comes out around puberty. Around that time is when they start to notice that they have these really unusual abilities. In Evvie's case, she didn't really understand exactly what was happening to her at first because her mother sort of repressed jubilation in favor of Christianity. Like, she kind of decided that was the way she was going to go. So she didn't really talk to her daughter too much about what was going to be happening to her. So Evvie had to reach out to her estranged grandmother, who's a little cantankerous, little nuts, but very, very skilled with jubilation and many other kinds of magic. So she definitely kind of trains her throughout the book. And meanwhile, while she's getting better and better and learning how to use these powers, so they don't hurt her or someone else without her meaning to, she's falling in love with the guy that she's had a crush on since childhood. But she doesn't want him to know about the skills because she doesn't want him to think she's a freak. So she still has teenagery things to deal with while becoming this magical being. And it's in the Jim Crow South, South Carolina. So she has to deal with kind of everyday life being a little bit more difficult than maybe we're used to.
Yeah. I love the magic aspect you brought into the storyline. What inspired you to imagine Jubilation?
It's a kind of a funny story. Several years ago, I was looking through these photographs. There was this great photographer, Gordon Parks, who probably many of your viewers know. He was a great filmmaker and photographer, also, I believe, writer. And he did this spread that was for Life magazine back in the 50s that was all about everyday Black people just living life in Jim Crow. There was no other point to it. It wasn't like, look at this, look at the struggle. It was just like, here is their life, here's what they're like. And there were about 16 photos that didn't make that cut. So they were released 40 years later. And so I was looking at those because I was really fascinated. And there was one in particular that stayed with me, and I've been obsessed with it since. There's this little Black girl in the foreground in the photo, and she's standing. She has kind of a little smirk on her face, like a secret smile. And you're like, what is she thinking? Behind her in this little house, there are a couple of people. You can't really make them out. They're probably adults, but we don't know. And then in the distance, there's this huge cloud thing. It's like, is it smoke from a fire? Is it a twister? Like, it's unclear. But if you look at it quickly, look at the photo quickly, it looks like it's coming from her head. And it's not. Like, logically, I know it's not. But I had this moment where I thought, wow, what would her life have been like if she had really had the power to wreak actual havoc on the world? And that was sort of the first crumb that I got for Jubilation was that photograph.
Yeah. Now, you bring in many powerful subject lines into your storyline. Tell us, did you always imagine Daughters of Jubilation as a young adult novel?
I did. That's just where I feel most comfortable. My first book, Truth of Right Now, is young adult, no magical realism. It's very contemporary, but the same age group. I feel like teenage protagonists just kind of come to me easily for some reason. I don't really know why. And also, I had a contract, so I knew I would be writing another young adult book. So of course, I was sort of on the lookout for like, what am I going to make that book about? So when the idea started kind of becoming more and more clear to me, it just seemed to fit naturally in the young adult sphere.
Yeah. Was there one character who was your favorite to write in Daughters of Jubilation?
Well, I loved writing Evvie, who's the main character. But it's hard because she's the whole book. So that gets a little exhausting. So I would say second place would definitely be her grandmother, Grammy Addie, who is just, I think, is so fun and funny. And I may at some point go back and write another book focusing just on her because I love her.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah, but like her as a teenager, but we'll see. We'll see.
Well, you heard Kara talk all things Daughters of Jubilation. When we return, we're going to find out how Kara managed to write this novel, along with writing for the Netflix series You and HBO's upcoming series, The Flight Attendant. Welcome back to Book Hour. I'm your host, Carly Rae, here with author Kara Lee Corthron. Kara, you are not just an author, you are also a playwright and a TV writer. Tell us more about your background and if it helped you write Daughters of Jubilation.
Sure. Yeah, I technically started as a playwright, even though I'd actually wanted to write fiction before that. I just hadn't really figured out my way in, I guess I would say. But I feel like all of the writing I do kind of helps me because every time I'm writing anything, whether it's a play or if I'm on staff for a TV show and I have to work on, I'm assigned an episode and it's like, this is the story for the episode. You have to make this work. I feel like every time I do that kind of work, I get stronger and stronger as a storyteller. So I do think it all actually helps in general, and definitely I think it goes both ways. I think me writing Daughters of Jubilation helps my TV writing and vice versa. And yeah, I feel like there's another part of the question that I missed.
Well, do you imagine it, I guess, the same way? Like when you go to sit down to write, I guess, Daughters of Jubilation, do you go through the same kind of process?
Oh, that's a great question. So the process is different because so I write for You on Netflix and The Flight Attendant. And I'm also writing for a show called Servant that's on Apple TV. And that kind of writing is different because it's by team. So we're in a room and there are a bunch of us. Right now it's a Zoom room, obviously, because of the pandemic. But we're trying to serve the vision of the person who created the show. In the case of Servant, it's M. Night Shyamalan who created it. So basically it's almost like our job is to do adaptation in a way. Like we're trying to always find that voice and kind of keep it going. So it's creative, but it's a different kind of creative because there's a set world that's kind of been given to us that we kind of have to take charge of and figure out how to continue. Whereas when I'm writing fiction, it's all me. So I have to figure all of it out, which I love it. And it's also a lot more responsibility. Like I can never blame anybody else if the book doesn't work. It's like, oh yeah, that wasn't my episode. No, yeah. It was all my episodes. So yeah, like all of that, the world building, character building, that's all kind of my responsibility, which is why it definitely takes longer.
Yeah. And are you an outliner? Do you outline everything to make sure you're not missing anything?
I'm not really an outliner for books. I have to for TV because it's just the rule. Like you just have to do it, or none of it would make sense. But I don't really do that when I'm writing books. What I tend to do is I usually hear voices kind of early on in my process. Like with Daughters, Evvie's voice was really dominant very early on, and she dictated so much of what was going to happen. I was like, oh, okay, that's what this book is. Cool, good to know. Not always like that, but in her case it was. But once I kind of get that voice in me and start to really understand it, then I try to step back and figure out, okay, what's the whole shape of this? What's the whole story? And then I do like a very rough map of where I know it has to go, the points I want to hit and where I want to end, knowing that things are going to change. But having just that like map to kind of refer to helps me as I'm writing. And that's really as much outlining as I do. I mean, sometimes I might write out scenes on index cards and kind of tape them up just so I can visually imagine what I'm trying to do. But I don't really do like kind of a rigid outline. It's just a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, what was the publication process like for Daughters of Jubilation? Did you help with the title and the cover?
Yeah, well, the title is funny because my publisher didn't really love the title. Title is mine. And I've called it that since the very beginning. That was my title. And, you know, I got it. I think one of their complaints, they thought jubilation was kind of an old-fashioned word, which I guess it is, but that's also kind of why I was drawn to it. And also they thought daughters was weird because it's like, who are you talking to? Are you talking to parents? Are you like, and you know, I got it. I understood, but I never was able to come up with anything that I liked more. And then they also pitched some titles to me, and I felt the same way. And I even got other opinions. I was like, I don't think this is better than Daughters of Jubilation. So it ended up sticking, and I think it was the right decision. I feel like it's the right title, and I'm glad that we were able to I'm glad they were able to get on board with it and be cool. Oh, sure.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think the title really ties into the cover too.
I think so too. I love the cover. I had very little say in that. Like, they showed me a mock-up and I thought, oh my God, that's gorgeous. I think I had like 2 tweaks maybe that I suggested. I think it was like a slight coloration and maybe like a type font. But that like image, the girl and the light and the sparkles, it's really gorgeous. That was pretty much the draft. And so it just changed very slightly before it went to print.
Yeah. Now, is there one project you've done that is your absolute favorite?
That is so funny. It's like asking who's your favorite kid. You know, I feel like every time I'm working on something, I'm in love with it, then it's my favorite. Like for a long time, Daughters of Jubilation was my favorite project. So I was working on it for a while, and I really believed in it. I was like, I'm going to finish this. It's going to happen. Because there was a point where I almost gave up, but then I went back and was like, no, I can do it. But that was kind of my love for quite a long time. I'm in the really early stages of starting a new book, and I can see that probably soon that's going to be my favorite. So I'm very fickle. Like, it's just like, who's the cute baby right now that I'm cradling, and that becomes the favorite.
Now, how long did it take you to write Daughters of Jubilation?
Well, I started in January of 2016. And the thing that's funny is I probably would have finished it a lot sooner, but I kind of had to go back. The original draft was much bigger. Okay. And I don't know if you remember or not, or people who might have read it. There's a character of a young Addie in the book who is Eveline's granddaughter from the future that she meets a couple of times. In the first draft, the book was actually from both their perspectives. So there was the 1962 track and the 2016 track told from Addie's perspective. It was pretty huge. It was a lot. And ultimately, you know, I did a lot of work on it. And then I guess 2 years in, or maybe a year and a half in, I had the hard conversation with my editor at that time, who basically was like, I think this is just Evvie's book. I was like, yeah, I agree. Oh God, okay. So I had to sort of go back and like rethink everything. I mean, there was a lot that I was able to retain, but a lot I had to kind of throw out and start fresh. But I think it was the right decision. And I know that's why it just took much longer than I would have liked. But I'm glad. I'm glad I stuck in and didn't just say, no, do it this way, because I'm tired.
Now, did you save all those chapters? Are we going to get a chance to see them?
I have them. It's possible. It's possible. Yeah, I still got it.
Now, you've won numerous awards, more than I can count on my hands. How does it feel leaving your mark on so many projects and being recognized for it?
You know, it feels really nice, and I really appreciate it. And I always remind myself of all the years when nobody was recognizing me for anything, which was a long time. A very long time of feeling like, well, I guess I'm just writing into the void. So yeah, I feel really appreciative. I mean, the thing that's the coolest is when I hear from strangers that I've ever met talking about how much the book meant to them. It's kind of like the best award I can get. Yeah. And I'm so thankful.
Yeah. Well, you heard Kara reveal if she has a favorite project. Stay tuned because when we return, it is game time.
Oh, wow. Is that pumpkin spice?
No, it's actually Fire Department Coffee's Harvest Blend. We don't do pumpkin spice.
Wait, you don't do pumpkin spice?
No, you know what? If you want pumpkin spice, go ahead and hit that button right there. Hey, by the way, do you like classical music? There you go. There's your pumpkin spice. Have a great day.
Welcome back. It is game time. The first game we're going to play is Trivia TV Edition. Kara, I'm going to read you trivia questions from usefultrivia.com, and we're going to see if you can answer them.
Okay.
All right. The first question is, every episode of Seinfeld contains an image or reference to what superhero?
Superman.
Yes. All right. The second one is, who played Chandler's father on Friends?
Oh, this I don't remember, and I knew it was coming. I can totally clearly see Elliot Gould knowing that he was Ross's dad and not Chandler's. So I don't know. I forget.
They said Kathleen Turner.
That's right. Ah, shit. All right. All right. One to what?
All right. The third one. Who shot JR?
Oh my God. That's going way back. What were those? Oh my God. I was like a baby. Was his name Bobby? I don't know.
It was Kristen Shepherd.
I have to look that up now. All I know is that question, and I have no idea what the answer was.
All right. The fourth one is, what color was Jeannie's harem costume in I Dream of Jeannie?
Whoa. Was it like magenta?
Yeah, pink. So yeah, magenta. It's in the same family, so we're going to give you that one.
I need another
right. So the tiebreaker question is, what MTV reality television series began with the narration, "This is the true story of 7 strangers"?
The Real World.
Yes!
I was obsessed with that show. So I win.
So you win your round of TV trivia. All right. The next game we're going to play is This or That. I'm going to read you 10 questions, and you're going to answer them.
Okay.
All right. Summer or winter?
Winter. Oh my gosh, I meant to say summer. That's hilarious. I guess I really mean winter. My brain said summer, and then I said fascinating. Okay.
Maybe it's because we're coming up on winter.
Yes. And now it's my favorite because it's funny.
Okay. The second one is pencil or pen?
I think pencil.
Okay. Night out or night in?
Night in.
McDonald's or Taco Bell?
Oh, do I have to pick one? I guess McDonald's.
Okay. Fantasy or romance?
Fantasy.
Real Christmas tree or artificial one?
Artificial with a fake smell. I don't want to kill a tree.
So you buy the little fake sticks that you can put in it. There you go. All right. 7, pumpkin or caramel apple?
Pumpkin.
Podcasts or YouTube?
YouTube.
Flying or driving?
Flying.
Lipstick or lip gloss?
Lipstick.
That concludes game time. Kara, I want to thank you for being on Book Hour and joining us today. Before you go, tell viewers if you're writing more novels.
Yes.
Can you tell us any details?
I can't really say anything right now, but
Okay.
yes. But just know that they will be coming. They'll come.
Okay, if viewers want to follow you on social media or stay up to date on your announcements, where can they find you?
Oh, sure. You can go to carlyrae.com. My Instagram is kara.corthron. And my Twitter is Kara Lee Corthron. It's all pretty similar.
Well, you heard Kara. Go check her out now. All of her social media handles are in the description below. Kara, thank you so much for being on Book Hour. And for those watching, I hope you have a great day.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.